My name is Gustaf Anselmsson. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Gokind, which is a Stockholm-based fintech. We've been operating for a couple of years, and our niche is to provide comparable ESG sustainability data on all types of transactions and financial events. Well, we see a sort of a total lack of actionability or easy access to sustainability data that actual consumers, retail investors can make sense of and act upon. So what I mean with sustainability data is what the companies you buy from, you invest in, do and don't do. There's such a distance for an individual to access that kind of data. And we want to flip it totally around and make that insights as easy to access as possible. And what better way to do that in a financial environment, when you as a consumer spend money, look at your share portfolio, that's the right moment to influence you to access this data. So when you look at the financial market and sustainability, one prevalent offer is CO2 footprint data that retail banks have implemented and others. That puts a focus on you as an individual. Your emission, it's your thing to solve. That has shown to be quite a hurdle for the consumers to take on. A little bit of blame that the user feels. You don't help the user to sort of know what the companies you buy from do and don't do. Our offering focuses on putting in front of the consumers things that they like to consume and that they actually look at and can act on. So when we offer ESG data to banks and fintechs, what they get is a tool, an API in our case, lets them give their users information that they can act upon. So for example, which share should I change to make my shareholding or investment more gender equal, for example. Yeah, we want to totally remove the distance between, you all have this vast pool of sustainability data that it will just increase. More companies will report, legislators will force the companies to report, but there will be this distance. We will try to remove that, both for retail investors and consumers, but also for businesses. So for example, if you're a business having a bank account, it's reasonable, I think, that you should be aware, when you spend money with your suppliers, to expose that supply chain via the bank and other financial solutions. So we want to do that for all players, both consumers and businesses, and not just big businesses that have the stamina and money to do sustainability works, but also for SMEs. How can we give them data to help them start their sustainability journey? So one use case that we have is with a retail bank that builds in the Gokind API. And what that gives the bank is access to what is important for each user. So the first step of Gokind and our solution is to identify what vendors, companies and brands belong in this user's wallet. That gives the bank a very unique way to understand the user. And then in the second step, we offer the bank and the user insights on the sustainability part. But what the bank also does is to put incentives towards the user. So when they spend money towards certain brands or certain behaviors, for example, second-hand purchases or going by public transportation versus fueling your car, they trigger different incentives, in this case in the form of cashback, a green cashback. And our API allows them to do that and offer that and continue to do that. That's one story that we think combines the next level of retail banking, for example, card-linked cashback. It's a new phenomenon, but you need vendor identification, and Gokind offers that and the ESG enrichment. So it's business and impact going hand in hand. Yes, so we think Enable is unique in the sense that they are very keen on how they treat data. So in our case, what we aim to do in partnerships is Gokind is a fairly new player. We're approaching banks and we're not that naive that, okay, we are only going to sell directly by, approaching banks. We need partners, and we need someone that really is keen and shares the sort of the ethical compass that we have. And we found when we talk to Enable, like how they treat customer data or bank data, that's quite unique. We see many players when we've been looking at the PSD2 landscape that is quite vague in how they treat the data, anonymizing it or making stuff and then saving it. We think that Enable is very unique in a clear privacy proposition and also very up to speed on new legislation. So I myself been working within compliance for a very long time. I'm very like the role in Gokind. I take a lot of time investing in what legislation is coming, and we saw that Enable is very up to speed on the new legislation like PSR, open finance that EU brings about or soon to bring about. And we think that they have an offer that matches the trends, while we see other actors that had offers that will go out of trend. And we also think that if we want banks on board, we need someone that a PSD2 partner that is capable to deliver on, when this new legislation is enacted. So a lot of things there. And then we like the team that we're in contact with. So like a personal, very good contact. I think the most important thing is we as a startup, we have a sort of a max stamina to approach banks, get them to be aware of our offering. While I think Enable is unique in the sense that they have a very clear core to offer the core open banking connectivity to banks, fintechs, and as I said, they come with a very strong privacy or data proposition that we believe will be get stronger and stronger. The open banking landscape, I think, was a little bit like the Wild West in the start, and I don't see a trend that it will continue that way. I think legislators are making regulations more in the face of actors like we. To have that core implemented at retail banks, fintechs, and a partner like Enable having existing customers, partnerships, being able to both add sustainability data on that flow is one thing, but also to get like a fintech like us, we need to get quick validation of our features that we have built or are to build as quick iterations. And we think that the commercial team at Enable offers us that possibility to test offers that we have in the market or that we want to be in the market, and use that partnership to go out to their customers and say, this is possible, are you interested? And if you're not interested, what would help you? What key initiatives in your bank can we help you with, Enable and Gokind together? The feeling of like the most professional PSD2 provider combined with the commercial team of Enable that wants to help us and wants Gokind to succeed in their business, not just deliver PSD2 data. So that I like very much. I think there is a great opportunity for the industry as such, banks, also on the corporate side, where the banking experience, to be frank, is very boring. I mean, I've been in different companies looking at the banking experience. It's just serving the status quo. They don't help me in any certain direction. Banks can provide a healthy dose of exposure to what should we do as, for example, SME that don't have the resources to have a sustainability department, or as a consumer, I don't have the stamina to look up things, and at least give me an opportunity to be guided. And also we think that the missing piece of the puzzle is it needs to generate a healthy dose of business for the banks. I mean, I've been in the space now a couple of years of working with ESG in various shapes and forms. And I think one dilemma that we have is that sometimes it can get a bit philanthropical, like you need to do this because it's for the better good. And you have to, be quite cynical, or like it needs to generate business for the banks in order for it to come in the top priority. And we think that open finance and our offer by letting the bank guide you to, for example, change your insurance, if it's an SME, to be offered better solutions from partners so we can expand beyond banking solutions for the banks, both on retail and on the B2B side. We think if we can nail that there is a healthy dose of business doing ESG initiatives, then we will succeed. And then the banks will see that, okay, we need to be more creative, we need to enhance the experience, not just serve the status quo. So making sure that, sustainability means business is key. That doesn't mean that, okay, it's good for business in 20 years time. It needs to be good or even great for business this quarter or this very moment for things to happen. So yeah, that's what we want to achieve, and I think banks will eventually see it. So we think that our niche to provide comparable ESG data, so when you transact or if you have a supplier, you can see how they perform versus the relevant direct competitors. That will be, there is a big trend from a legislation perspective to provide green financing and what should be green, what should not be green. So this kind of data, comparable ESG sustainability data, will be important both because of legislation, but also because there is business for the banks. They can get access to cheaper capital from the central banks, from other bigger players, if they're able to package green financing or clearly show to their financiers that they're actually moving consumers or companies in a certain direction rather than just serving the status quo. So I think that is also going to happen. It's not just about banks being able to earn some more bucks on beyond banking, but also that affects their access to finance. And I think today the banks are, like expected, a bit comfortable that, okay, you can package green financing and, do projects, wind farms or things that are intrinsically green. But you need to be able to channel as a bank green nudging and powers in all verticals. And banks serve all verticals. They serve, everything. So they need to find a way to push and finance things that are state of the art when it comes to sustainability in each vertical. And that's not easy, but comparable ESG data, I think that is one ingredient that they need. It's interesting now with the PSR and FIDA or open financing, how all actors will they take an accelerated view where they go before the legislator. They know this will come, and as an insurance company, pensions, why be the slow one? Let's do this before the mandatory stuff kicks in. Or if there will be the one that slows down the process and just do what's necessary to stay compliant. If the former happens, if there are players, at least some in each industry, that wants to move faster than the legislator, for example in pension or insurance, I think there will be plenty of stuff happening, because sustainable investment, you have these macro trends with the shift in the wealth going from generation to generation and the interest in sustainability. And if you also get easier access to pensions, other type of investment that is not covered by PSD2, it's enough that some actors want for innovation to happen very fast. So I hope that happens, and that we as Gokind can tap into that. If we see, for example, pension players and insurance players opening up their APIs and players like Enable making that bridge, allowing everyone to connect to that we can be part of that and help insurance holders and pension holders to allocate their portfolios to the best providers and companies. So that's what I hope for, and I think it's plausible. I would very much advise them to enter sort of a mode of curiosity, and instead of doing large, bigger projects, for example, if you're an incumbent large retail bank, let's change your bank app and add certain data. Very big project. Start with smaller projects where you integrate our kind of data and you test it for batches of users. You make quick, small projects where you can iterate fast and access sustainability data and test what does the users like, or what business can we generate from this. So not to make too large projects where you think okay, our users would love CO2 footprint data. Let's spend years implementing that to our existing banking experience. And then you find out, yeah, they kind of liked it, but they also wanted this, or you need to be quick, you need to iterate quick, even as a large bank. There, the neobanks have a huge advantage. They may not have nailed the business side of it, but they have the speed in innovation. And even if the existing neobanks, some will not maybe survive, there will be new players entering the scene. So the speed and curiosity and trying this on live users, getting to that sort of creating that environment instead of sitting in your office and thinking about or planning stuff. You need to be out with and test stuff. There is and there will be a certain percentage of users that will have this drive for sustainability. Is a very broad area. I mean, it includes both the social aspect, climate, many other things that biodiversity is quite difficult for one person or consumers to push in every area. One example, you look at the retail investment scene. You have Avanza, for example, that started to publish gender quality data on some shares. And I think consumers are and will push their existing sort of more incumbent slow banks. Like, why, this feature is good. Why is my investment portfolio looking like it has been doing for 10, 20 years? I want something. I mean, it's not just about the fact that consumers want sustainability data. They want to feel that they have a modern bank, that they're a customer of a technology-driven bank, and not implementing this stuff. It's not just about the ethical compass of users. It's the fact that they want to have a modern experience. So, for example, our solution offers to give the bank guidance on autopilots. That's smart, and people like smart things, things that are easy for them in their everyday life. So I think that will go hand in hand. You have consumers pushing for smart features, and in that, sustainability will be part of it.